Hello, Mouse Planet. Alan DeLinka here live from Studio Central in Orlando. In a moment, I think we'll be able to go live to Adrienne Vincent-Phoenix out at Disney California Adventure for the first ever A Touch of Disney. I'm just checking to make sure that we're actually on live, and we are. So I see people starting to join us. I see Adrienne giving me the thumbs up. I'm going to bring Adrienne on the show, and we'll go from there. Adrienne, can you hear me?
I gotcha. Hi, Alan.
And I'm going to bring you on screen. There's Adrienne at Disney
Hi,
California
guys.
Adventure.
All right. So, since
So
I
what's
am seated and socially distant from anybody, I'm going to go ahead and take my mask off so that you guys can hear me. Hi, everybody. So, we are at Disney California Adventure for the first ever and perhaps only ever a Taste of Disney event, a Touch of Disney event, I should say. Just kicked off today, started at noon, and it is it is interesting to be back in a mostly operating theme park that has no rides. I'm not sure how to say that.
well, that is an interesting way to put it. Although you got to see it that way, you got to see it that way when it was just the extension of downtown Disney.
Yeah,
What's
and
what's different for folks who haven't been out yet?
this
Uh,
has a really different energy to it because when it was it felt like when it was the Buena Vista Street experience that they called it, kind of the expansion of downtown Disney, that it was very, how do I explain it? It was very distanced, very, very distanced in that, everybody was kind of cautious and hesitant and it was kind of low energy. I think they were trying to undersell it so that they didn't have, hordes of people showing up, which happened anyway. And so, it was kind of a come in, do your shopping, take a couple of pictures, go home. This is very much sit and stay a while because, they've sold tickets for it. They're $75. It's an 8-hour event. And this is very, very, very different. There's really high energy background music going on. They've done a whole new soundtrack that they're calling, KBVS, Buena Vista Street. And it's really neat. Some of the covers are actually really cool. So that's different. There's ton, a ton of seating. So I'm in the Paradise Gardens Park. I'll kind of turn this camera around so you can see it.
oh wait, I just started some B-roll.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you do that. Hang on. I'll go back to Adrienne here. Let's see. That would be this button here. There we go.
Yeah,
All
so I'm
right.
just going to kind of turn that around here so you guys can see. This is the Paradise Gardens Park, and they've just turned it into this gigantic seating area overlooking Paradise Pier. And, it's quite nice, honestly. Um, this is even though it's called a touch of Disney and not a taste of Disney, this is a food centered festival. That I have to say has honestly been a challenge. They are strongly, strongly, strongly encouraging the use of mobile app, mobile ordering through the Disneyland app. And the challenge with that is that when you place that order, you get a return time to go back to the booth to pick up your food. And in some cases, we're seeing 90-minute return times where you want to place an order and they're like, great, you can come get it in an hour and a half. Some of the booths, nothing like that. Some of the booths are 10 minutes. You place the order and you can pick it up immediately. But the other booths, the most popular ones, are much longer waits. And that's really, for them pushing the mobile app as hard as they are, there's definitely a time penalty if you use it. Your option, if you don't want to use the mobile app, is to go stand in a queue. They have one cashier set up for the 6 marketplaces. You don't order at each individual booth anymore. They're not doing that. You either order through the mobile app or you go to this one place where they've got 2 cashiers and you stand in line to place your order there, and you can order from all 6 booths at that place if you want. And then they hand you the receipt, and then you can go immediately to the booth. So, right now, if I wanted to go get some chicken wings, I could either wait an hour and a half for my mobile order to be ready or go stand in what's probably a 25-30-minute line at the kiosk, pay, and then go pick them up immediately. So definite challenge there.
And when you've placed an order, how quickly have you done one with a return time?
Yeah, and so that was the other funny thing is that when you go back to place, pick up the order, that there's obviously a mobile order return. And when I went back to pick up my order, there were 10 people waiting in the mobile order return line, and there were 2 people waiting in the cash line, basically. the receipt pickup line. So it was even slower if I just wanted to pick up my food, and that took more time. So I'm really hoping that this is something that they can fix as the festival moves forward, that they can kind of troubleshoot why some of the booths are having such a problem getting food turned out, and get that fixed so that it's not so much of an issue going forward. Because it kind of, stinks to pay this, $75 to go to an event and then spend an hour waiting on your food.
So somebody has asked any walk-up reservations for lamplight. How are the table service restaurants operating during this, if at all?
The way that they operated is that once you had your ticket to a touch of Disney, then they opened up reservations about a week later, I want to say, to make reservations for Carthay Circle Lounge and Lamplight Lounge. And those went immediately, as you can imagine. Those are just gone. But they are doing walk-up, and you can actually once you're in the park, you can use the mobile app to see what the walk-up looks like, and whether or not you're going to have a shot of getting in. So that's definitely an option.
And somebody else commented, I think what you've already noted, there's no screaming on the screaming coasters.
Well, yeah, scream in your heart, like they said in Tokyo. Well, none of the roller coasters are open anyway, and so that's not a big challenge. Although I will say that was how do I say this nicely? That was really, really hyped up as something that was in the official guidelines, and it's not. The industry association that put out the safe operating guidelines for theme parks was credited as having said that, and they actually did it. It's not in their guidelines, so I don't know.
But there's no screaming going on now because the coasters aren't open.
Right, there's no screaming going on at all. There are a lot of little character interactions, which is kind of fun. We saw Donald up in one of the suites, on the balcony of one of the suites from the Grand Californian Hotel. Chip and Dale were down on the grass below him, kind of playing with acorns. We've seen Max and Goofy are fishing at Pacific Wharf. So there's some fun character interactions. There are some photo opportunities set up. They've got one of the Pixar Play Parade floats out that they've set up. They have one of the it's an aerial backdrop of some form, and the prop, I'm going to assume, is from one of the parade floats that's out. Honestly, not the extravagant photo ops that I was expecting, based on what we've seen at some other hard ticket events. When you do the date night at Disneyland events or the Halloween events, I was expecting the photo opportunities to be a little bit more like that, and they're not. I'm surprised.
And we got asked, I think it's obvious to us, but maybe not to the audience, is today a press day or the official opening day?
No, today was the official opening day, although I told Alan privately earlier that to me this is almost like Disney social media homecoming. There are bloggers and vloggers and grammars and TikTokers, and I mean, every corner of the Disney social media world seems to be represented. And I'm laughing because obviously I'm old. I don't know half of these people are. So it's kind of there's somebody running around that everybody's asking for an autograph or for a photo with. And I'm like, who is that? Does anybody know who that guy is? There's also, this was an invited guest day. So in addition to media, a lot of travel agencies are here. Our friends from Getaway Today are here. A lot of the community partners are here to kind of get an idea of what this is going to look like. Because let's be realistic, this isn't just a food festival and our first opportunity to see the parks. This is our first chance at seeing what the social distancing protocols are going to look like here in Anaheim. And for the travel agents, this is something that they can see in person and reassure their clientele of, no, this is how Disney's handling it. And I will say they are doing a very good job of all of the social distancing protocols. I will be honest that I'm surprised that nobody has come over and told me to put a mask on. Even though I am seated at a table and socially distanced as per protocol, I'm not actively eating or drinking, which is at what point I should probably put a mask back on. They've been really, really good about it. If you're not standing where you're supposed to, if you're not sitting where you're supposed to, if you're walking around with a drink, they've been really good about very kindly and politely in a Disney way saying, hey, you put your mask back on.
And that's certainly been the case here in Orlando at the parks. Disney Springs, I was over there this Monday actually, and it was starting to feel more lax, and it actually made me uncomfortable because it was particularly crowded.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting.
one of the other questions we got here, anything you think Disney could have improved on? So you've talked about the food ordering. How about anything else? The atmosphere. Is it a touch of Disney? Does it feel like
It
Disney
is a touch
beyond
of
just being
Disney.
in the park? Yeah.
It is a touch of Disney. I have to say, I absolutely love the background music. The track that they've got going right now is really nifty. The character experiences so far that I've seen are good. And again, it's the first time we've seen characters in California in a year. So that right there for some people, that's everything.
There
Um,
were some really light character experiences in downtown Disney, right? You had
no,
stormtroopers for a while.
no,
Really, I thought I remembered seeing stormtrooper pictures at some point, but
I
okay.
if honestly, if that happened, that has been blocked out of my memory. But it's the
And I could be confusing the coasts. That's always possible.
it's a
So
COVID year, frankly. If it happened, I probably forgot about it. Um, but no, and I've been really vocal on in our social media. Somebody from Disney walked up and said, "Oh, what are you up to?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just trashing you on social media right now." And she said, "What?" And I said, "Nah, just a little tiny bit." Honestly, the parking situation was a mess, and
why don't you tell folks about that? I know you
okay.
told me and you posted about it.
So basically, what happened? They said that the parking structure. The event started at noon. They said the parking structure was going to open at 11:30, and parking at the structure is included in the ticket. If you wanted to park in downtown Disney, if you wanted to get here earlier and park in downtown Disney, you would have to pay the additional parking fee to do that. So I figured, okay, 11:30 parking structure opening. I'd hit here, 10:20. Got up over the flyover. No big deal. I was in queue, in the parking structure 10:25, or sorry, 11:25. Um, 11:30, people started honking their horns because they just opened up the gates, for the toll booths. So people were going through. And from getting to the toll booth, parking, going through health screening, going through security screening, going through the canine screening, and then walking the entire tram route down to downtown Disney, and then standing in line in downtown Disney to get into Disney California Adventure was 80 minutes. And
Wow.
that is ridiculous. Um, I understand, and I'm going to say that with the caveat for perspective. When during normal Disney operations, on a really busy day, it's taken as long as an hour to get from parking booth to ticket booth. So that's not, completely outside the realm of things that I've experienced here at Disney. But for such a small capacity event with such a relatively few number of guests here, and the fact that the trams aren't operating, you're not waiting on trams, that was ridiculously long. I think that they need to open the parking structure as early as 11 o'clock to facilitate people going through that whole parking and screening and screening and screening and walking process and getting in queue, for the park to open. Especially if you're holding, as somebody mentioned on our Twitter feed earlier, if you're holding a noon or 12:15, 12:30 reservation for Lamplight Grill and you can't get in that fast, that's not okay.
Right. No, absolutely. And it's interesting because here I've always said that about Magic Kingdom in general, that Magic Kingdom takes much longer to get to than anywhere else. And during some events, timed events, you would think that with a smaller crowd, they'd have that done better. But that's one thing that I've never seen in Florida improved upon. I'm going to bring up here on the screen things that you probably won't be able to see because of the light. But you tweeted out on our Facebook earlier today pictures of things, and we might as well talk about some of
I
them
tweeted on
because
Facebook.
people. You tweeted on Twitter. You probably put them on Facebook too. But hey, you put up a picture of the, let's see, strawberry rose lemonade
Yeah.
and sweet and spicy chicken wings from the Golden
Yeah.
Dreams Marketplace. What was that like?
Well, I'm a sucker for rose flavored drinks. As you probably, if you've ever watched one of our shows before, if you watched the classic cocktails one that Todd made me, the rose soda. So that was delicious. I loved that. The crispy chicken wings, those are apparently the thing that's taking that booth 90 minutes to serve food, is because those wings are so popular. And they are delicious. They're in a really yummy honey glaze. I'm not sure what else it is. It's honey and something. It's kind of tropical. But then it's in a togarashi aioli, which is that was more of an interesting combination. I wasn't as fond of the togarashi aioli, but I loved the sauce. So, and honestly, that's all I've eaten at this. There's not, I'll be honest, looking over the menu. Here, let me pull up my handy dandy menu here. I'm not sure. I think Alan's got something else on the screen, but I've got
I can put you back full screen. There we go.
No, it's fine. I've got my handy dandy menu here, and let me look at some of the items here, because if you have been to one of the food and wine festivals here in California Adventure, this isn't actually all that amazing of a menu. We've got Walt's chili, which is good. That's from coming over from Disneyland. They brought over some stuff from Disneyland. What I'm laughing at is that Abominable Snowman treats. They're advertising that as Dole Whips. They're actually using the Dole Whip branding. It's always been Dole Whip. We just didn't use the name. But they do.
One of our commenters, by the way, said people got in on the Harbor Boulevard side right away.
Yeah,
they were in the park by 11:30.
Yeah, people got in the park. Yeah, if you came in through, so if you paid the $10 to park in downtown Disney and walked in, and if you paid to park over on Harbor Boulevard or got dropped off on Harbor Boulevard and came in through that way, yeah, they actually opened the gates to the event at 11:30. So, that's great. But those of us that were in the parking structure at 11:30 when they told us to be, sort of got, not as quick.
So the central kiosk you described is what I put up on the screen now, and that's sort of just off of the Pacific Wharf buildings that I recognize here.
Yeah, and there's
pretty close to where you are, right? You're pretty close to that right now.
Yeah, it's right over here. Yeah, there's 2 cashiers there, and the line, it looks like it's running about 30 minutes.
So you order your food after waiting in line 30 minutes and then wait up to 90 minutes to eat it?
No. So if you
this is the quicker way to do it.
Yeah, right now it is. And I hate to say that because I know Disney really wants people to be using the app. And so all I can tell you is, take a look at the app and look at your return time. If you're dealing with a 90-minute return time, if you want some of those Honey Crispy wings and the return time is 90 minutes, go stand in the 30-minute line, get your receipt, and go get your wings immediately. If you want something over at, Uncorked, California, that's only got a 10-minute wait, 10-minute return time, then order that and go pick it up and skip the 30-minute in-person line. You just gotta work the numbers.
And so you were talking about Donald Duck being very distanced, and I think it's hilarious because on Twitter, when you post on Twitter, it always reduces everything to 16:9.
Right.
So on the Twitter post, if folks don't open it, all they see right now is this, which is the bottom of the Grand Californian. But if you open it up full screen, way up there's Donald. Let's see if I can zoom in. Come on, well, let me zoom. No, it's making it smaller, isn't it? Let's see. Yep. I can't make it any larger in this format, so Donald is up there on like the 3rd or 4th floor of the building, waving to folks.
And he's in one of the luxury suites of the Grand Californian Hotel. Well, and how does Donald pay for stuff like that? He just says put it on my bill.
I thought he just charged Uncle Scrooge McDuck.
This is also true. So I am going to go wander around a little bit more unless there's other questions people have. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, when you physically get to the main entrance gate, when you finally get there, that's the other thing that's really slow, and I'm hoping they get figured out. Because for each person that comes to the turnstiles, there's 3 interactions that have to happen. They have to scan your admission ticket, your admission media, the email that you get. Then they have to take your photo. Then they have to scan the voucher for you to get your $25 food card. That is taking forever. So I'm hoping they get that streamlined. You
posted a picture of folks lined up at the gates here on Twitter 2 hours ago and change, according to the timestamp. Did folks all tend to come at once when the event started? Has there been a trickle? What have you noticed? I mean, I'm sure lots of people showed up at opening. That's what Diz Twitter does.
That's what Diz Twitter did. Well, and again, it's homecoming for social media. It's social media homecoming. So I don't know what that's going to look like when it's more of a guest and less of a fanatic. But at the same time, if you paid $75 to come to a mostly closed theme park, maybe you're in that first category anyway.
Well, I was going to say, and I think one of our followers here.
Guilty is charged. I mean, I would have, absolutely. I was in that 8-hour queue to get a ticket. So guilty is charged.
One of our followers here wrote on our Twitter feed, let the park open with no masks allowed. And something says to me that that would lead to it closing faster than anything.
Yeah, Orange County, you know what? We've actually had some really good numbers here in Anaheim. Um, Long Beach, California had, for the first time in 3 months, no COVID deaths. Los Angeles's numbers are looking really good. You know, our vaccination rates are way up. I actually just got mine yesterday. So, you know, masks are going to happen. I'm sorry. Until we're at herd immunity, masks are going to happen.
Well, and the fascinating thing is that apparently the flu numbers were wiped out this year. There's been almost no transmission of flu whatsoever in most of North America because people are social distancing, wearing masks, washing their hands, and a handful of us probably even got the flu vaccine, which I did way back when.
Well, okay, now you're getting down a political rabbit hole. So let's get back to Disney before we get flamed out of existence here.
Well, I didn't know that you had anything else you wanted to cover. You said you were going to go wander.
I am. I'm gonna go wander and plug my phone back in.
There's a picture here of some fluffer nutter churro.
Oh my heck, right? A sugar rush. And I haven't even made it back actually into Pixar Pier yet, and I can't imagine what kind of calorie-laden, sugar-stuffed stuff they've got over at Bing Bong's.
And California still hasn't gotten to the point where they're requiring Disney to post the calorie notices on these things, right?
There's no calories at Disney.
Yeah, that's what they've said on Disney Cruise Line too. That it's fantasy food. So
actually, you know what? Disney Cruise Line put out their 2022 itineraries this morning. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be talking with our folks at Getaway today about what that looks like, because it is time to book, people. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It is not a train. We are not going to nowhere in particular. It is actually time to start looking forward. So I'm excited.
Although to go political one more time, it's looking like North America is recovering a little bit better than Europe at the moment, and we hope that doesn't change.
No,
because Europe is having another flare up this week as we speak.
No, we want to keep doing what we're doing. And, our goal right now, I mean, realistically, in all honesty, the goal right now is to get California to the point where we can reopen, where the powers that be feel comfortable reopening to out-of-state visitors right now, where everybody, from Arizona and Utah and Nevada can come back to Disneyland and not just California residents.
Well, and it's interesting. I know people here in Florida who have tickets to go to a Touch of Disney who are upset now that they won't be able to go to the parks because right now it's California only.
Right. You can come and eat the food and buy the merchandise, but you can't go on the rides if you're from out of state. Sorry.
And the funny thing coming from Florida, of course, they can already eat the food and buy the merchandise,
right.
With the exception of, I was going to say with the exception of a handful of Disneyland exclusive items. So, right. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Adrienne. Let's put the send-off off. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. We'll leave this up on the Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope pages. And we'll see you guys all sometime real soon. Let me find a closing.
And if you've got more questions, post them on Facebook or Twitter, and we will.
Oh, and Adrienne froze mid-sentence. How nice. See you all real soon. Hopefully Adrienne can still hear me and sticks around for a moment. I'm going to end the broadcast here. Alan DeLinker from Orlando, Adrienne Vincent-Phoenix from Anaheim at Touch of Disney. Bye-bye.